I'm at the nursery. Prices are really good. They've got all kinds of cucumbers. Now these are 4-inch pots and they're $4. Nothing's wrong with that if you can afford that. And it's good to mix if you want to mix. This is why I make my own soil. I can't pass up the watermelon. It's early, but let me show you the watermelon. There's like 10 plants in there if I can get some separate. So a couple weeks ago I went to the nursery. So I was driving by and I saw a nursery and I thought I'll go in and take a look. And I did buy a few plants, but I couldn't help myself. I saw the watermelon. It was the 4-inch pots were $3.99. It was supposed to be one plant. And I looked at it and I thought, my goodness, there's like 10 of them in here. I have to get it. $3.99, even if I save 2, it's worth it. So I went ahead and got it. And as you can see here, I just brought it in and started tickling them away. They're in a very soft potting soil, so I know normally you can soak it. I wasn't in the mood to get into a wet mess, but you can soak it and gently pull the roots away. But I figured I would just do it this way. They're very young plants, and young plants, like I always tell you, are so eager to grow that I haven't had any problems moving plants this age. So I just worked with the soil and gently, just kind of slowly with my fingers, fluffed it away and started separating them one by one. The main thing is to get some roots on the plant itself. As long as it's got a few, they seem to do okay, but I needed to get them separate. If I don't, they will start to choke each other out. The strongest will pull from the others and they would die back. So I just did it out on the kitchen counter and just started to separate them. My concern right now with growing watermelon in Southern California is we are still cool in the evenings. We're starting to stay in the 50s, but there's still times we drop down to 48 to 50, and it's just too cool. Watermelon likes very warm days and very warm nights. So we're not quite there yet. You know what? It's worth the chance even if I just get a few. So I separated them all off because the best thing to do with them would be to get them in their own container. And if I can get them in their own container, I can hold on to them maybe a little longer until we get closer to the time. Normally the best time for us, I have found, is July. And we're picking watermelon. They've gone in a month. I've had watermelon a month. In August, September, October is when we have watermelon. So here I'm using a good sized paper cup. They're about 6 ounces. And what I do is I make holes on the bottom. Each cup will have holes on the bottom. Now, why paper cups? Well, because I'm going to plant them in the paper cups when I get ready to plant them. So I went through each and every one, just using a regular potting soil, cheap old potting soil, and each one I planted. Now, I like this method of putting it in a paper cup because when the time comes, I can tear the bottom out or part of the sides and leave them in the paper cup. So when I dig a hole in the soil, when I water the plant, the base of the plant, I know the plant will get the water. So here you can see how I just kind of gently hold them and slowly put in the soil and build it up. You don't want to go too far up because you can end up rotting out the stem. The stem should not be under the soil because it's not a tomato plant. So you have to be very careful with that. That's basically all I had to do is just go through each one, get them all into their own home, try to hold on to them a little longer. We still have some in the back room. Gary's got them in the back room. But you know what? For $3.99, I couldn't believe it. There were 15 live plants in there. There weren't even any dead plants. They were all alive and all doing good. It looks like somebody was planting the seeds for the nursery. And what happened was, it must have been lunchtime, and he had a handful of seeds, dropped them in the pot, and walked away. Because I've never seen anything like it with 15 of them in one pot. There they are. So all I have to do now is just get them in something where I can take care of them. And a dish pan, I like using dish pans. They're light, they're cheap, you can get them anywhere. I just loaded them all up in there. And this way when I water them, a little bit of water on the bottom won't hurt. The main thing now is you don't want seedlings to dry out. That is very important. So now it's just a matter of keeping them in a fairly sunny location, but not too sunny, and just making sure that there's enough soil in there so they're kind of put back in the way they were. You can see where they were buried up to, the seeds, how the seeds came out. So I checked each one, and I just put them back in the dishpan. And that was it. And now I'm hoping that we can save quite a few of them. We'll see what happens as time goes on. But this is something nurseries don't tell you. Look around, because I have been getting other plants. I picked up like some peppers, and there were multiple peppers. That's an easy one to separate in a tray. And I picked up some zucchini. I wasn't going to buy zucchini. I have my own seed. But each one, some of them had 2 and 3. So they are really easy to separate. Just be gentle, and as long as you can get some roots on there, you'll be okay. If you're having a struggle with it, just put the base underwater and gently wash the soil away, and that's another way to get them separate, so you'll have more roots on them. But this was just so easy, and there they were, all 15, all done and ready to go. All I have to do is make sure I tag them, but I'm not growing any other watermelon this year, so I'll know right away. They're sugar baby watermelons. And then once you're all done, just make sure each one is watered. Don't skip any when you have that many, because if you do, you could have a problem. So what I ended up doing is we had a birthday party for my grandson, and my daughter said she'll take some home. They're going home to their new home. We have to do inspections, though. We do inspections like they do with dogs to make sure the environment is right, and they're going to get good care. There they are. There they are. They were nurtured and cared for here. Okay. So she took a few home. I had to say goodbye. It's very tough when you take care of your babies like that. You know, she believes me. But anyways, gave them some. Gary's going to plant some later on. He said he's not ready in his garden. And what I'm doing is I've been putting them outside and then bringing them in at night. I carry them in, and then we've got them now in Gary's back room. And I have planted a few outside. Actually, I planted 2 outside so far. And we'll see. I'm going to try to trick them and make them think it's a little bit warmer than it is. And that's what I'm hoping for. I hope I get a few out of them, but who knows? You know, maybe I'll get more than I thought. So that's it. So when you go to the nursery, be sure if you're buying plants, look at them, because there's so many times you've got more plants in there than you expected, and you can walk out of there paying for 10 plants, 15 plants for the price of one. And that's where you end up making money. So I hope I gave you an idea to look those potted plants over and see if you've got multiple plants. So with that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'll go ahead and leave the whole thing.